You know, it was more like I was disappointed because a homie of mine, you know, went to work for him and laid me down like that. Now the effects that it took, um, like I say if I was taking my grandmother to dialysis every week, say if, you know, not to mention my kids, I have a lot of kids, man. They depended on me in so many areas, you know, emotionally, spiritually, you know, financially, you know what I mean? All that got took away when the homie, you know, did this, you know, my kids and my wife and my family, it was affected more than me.
All right, we got the OG FG. How you doing, man?
What's going on, AG?
I'm good, man. This is a real honor to have you on. I think you're a very uh, re- respectable man. Like you stay 10 toes down, and I have nothing but respect for you, man.
I appreciate that.
Definitely. I got to start off like this, man. A lot of people question the paperwork if it's legit on Mob James.
Mhm.
What do you have to say about it?
Well, I mean, it's 100% legit. And I think, you know, a lot of the people I seen, you know, been getting a lot of texts, a lot of comments, you know, people in question about it. But at the same time, you know, it's 100% authentic.
Right, right. Um, there's a couple questions that I like to ask you about it.
Hmm.
How come James's name isn't on the paperwork? He's only
Well,
referred as CW.
because I didn't go to trial. You know, when you go to trial, you have you have the opportunity to get the trial transcripts, and in the trial transcripts, you get he has to come get on the witness stand, do his part, and his name. They don't redact anything in that. You know what I mean? So for me, you know, I took a deal. There's going to be redactions. You know what I mean? But if you had an argument, you know, with a lady at the grocery store, you know, you're going to remember that argument with that lady at the grocery store if somebody else was to bring it up. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So for the naysayers or people who believe that that's not him, my question back to him is, why would I just accuse this man, a reputable, at this time, a reputable Compton legend? Why would I, you know, accuse him of this kind of, you know, ordeal when it's, you know, if it wasn't true? You get me?
Right. Why come out now? What made you want to speak out and put this out?
I mean, he spoke on me, you know. Like I said before, you know, we handle our in the street. You know what I mean? And you never heard from me because he never spoke on me. But when you speak on me, you know what I mean, and you try to, you know, he asked for it. You know, he specifically said, "Hey, FG, if you got any paperwork, if you got anything against me, you got to bring it out." And
Mm.
if he would have left my name out of it, and you know, and he kept it between him and whoever he had beef with, we wouldn't be here today.
Did you know of Mob James like before? Because ever since 2000, the internet has exploded, and he was on a podcast he started a few
Mhm.
years ago. What'd you think of his podcast and being like this person in media? What'd you think of him doing that when you saw
I'm gonna
that?
be honest with you. I never listened to it. I'm gonna be honest with you, AG. I didn't go to. When I search YouTube, I search in other things, fishing, hunting, you know, motorcycles, Harleys. You know, I never watched the Gangster Chronicles. I never watched a YouTube video of James. You know, people would send them to me though in my text. You know,
Hmm.
homies, look at this, look at this. You know, I might watch a little piece of it, but you know, I'm living my life, so I didn't think about it. You know what I mean? I didn't care.
Right. Is there any other like paperwork or evidence of Mob being like recorded of regarding your case or no?
No doubt.
So there is.
Hell yeah.
Is there more pictures or more or audio recordings, video surveillance, anything that we could expect for you to put out or
Well, listen, AG. You know, we talk about the wire that he wore. You
okay.
know, what do people think they did with the wire? I mean, I'm sure people didn't know they didn't throw it in the trash. You know what I mean? So of course it is. But I mean, I'm not so eager to just put stuff out. My word in itself should substantiate. You know what I mean? I'm going against a Compton legend that could have been. You
Right.
know what I mean? So my word itself is just, and the paperwork that I put out should substantiate exactly what I'm talking about and what I'm accusing this man of. You know what I mean? And it's
Mhm.
not accusations, it's facts.
Right.
I did the time for it, AG. You know what I mean? And when you go do that kind of time, you know exactly who and what and where. what happened.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it. You said that. I don't think people, the audience, public, really understand how those are 10 years. These are not like you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
this
That's
ain't a few months. Yeah, this ain't 6 months or 3 months or this was decades. And the toll that it took on not only myself, because I went and did the time. I stood up while I did it. This stuff takes a toll on your family. This stuff takes a toll on your children. This stuff
Mhm.
takes a toll on, aunties and uncles and grandmothers. You know what I mean? So this wasn't just something that took a toll on me. I wouldn't, did my time,
Right.
but you have to realize and understand that when, as a man, just like if you was to leave today, leave your family, leave your responsibilities, the toll that it would take on a whole family.
Right. Can you talk about how it affected you and your family being away for that long?
I could talk about it. My kids can talk about it. We can all talk about it. Me personally, being a street dude, AG, I think I took it more light than my family did. You know what I mean? Because I was out in the street, I was out doing the things I did, and in reality, sometimes this comes with the lifestyle that you live. You
Right.
reap what you sow, basically. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that just when the feds came, I was like, so disappointed. It was more like I was disappointed because a homie of mine, you know, went to work for him and laid me down like that. Now the effects that it took, um, like I say if I was taking my grandmother to dialysis every week, say if not to mention my kids, I have a lot of kids, man. They depended on me in so many areas, emotionally, spiritually, financially. You know what I mean? All that got took away when the homie, did this. My kids and my wife and my family, it was affected more than me. You know what I mean? Because I went and did the time, but people don't realize the effect that it takes on your family. Like just for say my oldest boys, they 28 right now.
Mhm.
They was like 10 or 12. They was like 12 when I left. Do you understand from 12 to 20? That's your most that's the years that you need a father. You need guidance. You need, everything you need to nourish as a man. And they missed out on that because I was gone. So yeah, it took a deep toll on my family.
Mhm. Now let me ask you about the photos a little bit. In the photos you see the person who is named CW, who's Mob James that we know. He's wearing an Atlanta Braves hat.
Mm,
Is that what's the deal with that? Because I know he's from a different set, and Atlantic Cross Atlantic is a whole different thing. No, like how is that? Can you break that down for the people?
I'm gonna break it down, but the people actually broke it down for me because I looked at these photos for 10 years straight
Okay.
and never noticed that he wore Atlanta Braves hat. It was the comments that said he has an Atlanta Braves hat. I had to go back and look at the picture to even
Right.
notice that. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I never noticed all this time that he had an Atlanta Braves hat on, and it could have just been the hat that he picked up out his, could have been strategic, or it could have been the hat that he just picked up out his arsenal that day. But um, you talk about a man versus a hat. This is a whole man in this video, and people want to point out his hat. That's that's funny to me. You know what I mean? Those are his supporters, I believe. But at the
Right.
same time, I wouldn't care if he had a New York Yankees hat on. You know what I mean? This him in these photos, man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's just 100.
Right. And I believe those same neighborhoods, are were at the time were cool. No, those two
Hey
sets.
man, we was thick as thieves, man. It was all one. The east side was one. You know, Luda's Mob, Cross Atlantic, the Limes, the Hollies, the Elm Streets. We was the east side thing. So at that time, it wasn't no beef with nobody. So for him to have on Atlanta Braves hat, or that wouldn't have triggered, wouldn't have triggered anything at that time.
Right.
I'm sure you wouldn't wear one now, but yeah.
Has anyone confronted James about this, like throughout this, throughout like since you got indicted?
Yeah, when I first fell, I sent the paperwork to the mob, to the homies, and they spoke with him about it. The paperwork I sent with him, let's be clear, the paperwork that I sent to the neighborhood back then, it didn't have the photos in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because I kept my personal paperwork, so the copies didn't have the photos in them. So when I sent the paperwork to him, it said everything it said, but it, like you said, it said CW, it said this and that, but it didn't have the photos at the time.
Mhm. I'm wondering, the photos. Now you can't really make out his face, so I'm wondering, is that were the photos edited any way to blacken out his face so he can't be identified?
Well, you know what? I can't. You got to ask the FBI that. I just got the photos as they were,
Mhm.
and the sticky notes that was on the photo, exactly how you see it is exactly how I got it. You
Okay.
know what I mean? They wasn't altered. I believe the sticky notes was put on there for the so my attorney could just differentiate exactly who was who, what I mean, in order to help me fight my case, you know what I mean? But I don't think so. I mean, I know the world could say a whole bunch of things, but that don't look like him, or that don't, he had Atlanta Braves hat on, or he did this and that. But Compton, Watts, Linwood, man, they know exactly who it is.
Mm. Do you think certain people are scared of mob? Like, because I'm not sure. I never heard of anybody, confronting him, being a cooperator.
Well, the thing about it is you wouldn't hear that. You know what I mean? I mean, you got to realize that some things is hood business, and it ain't nobody in Compton that don't know that this dude was an informant, no doubt.
Mm,
It's just at the end of the day, I just think that some people didn't. People living their lives, people doing what they doing. Nowadays we in the era where he didn't snitch on me era. He didn't do nothing to me era. But the thing about it is, I come from an era where people did do stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a man in the hood that think that I would just put some allegations on this dude and it wasn't true. I don't got that. Yeah, people scared of him. You got to put that factor in there too. Yeah, this Mob James. You know what I mean? The stuff that he talk about, the stuff that he did. You know what I mean? I can't discredit that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the era that I also grew up in, you was a rat. You was supposed to get dealt with. You know what I mean?
mm.
No
What do
doubt.
What do you think James hasn't been dealt with?
Well, I can only speak for me. And let me speak for me. I can't speak for the next man because I'm the one he told on. So I can't speak for the next man. I can only speak for me, AG. And let me say this. Let me break this all the way down to you because I've been heard this comment on a lot of different, come from a lot of different directions. I come home in 2013. You know, when I come home, you got to realize that, I got a family, I got kids, I got more. I got to produce some money to even be able to take care of myself from day one. You know what I mean? So when I come home, you got to realize that, you know, eating, putting some gas in the car, trying to find a job is your first objective. Once you handle that objective, you know, um, you got to be secure in your financial parts of your life in order to do anything else. That's for me, right? So, not to mention, I have 5 years paper. So when I first came home, I'm gonna be honest with you. The first couple years, I was willing to put everything on the line. If I seen this dude, fuck my family, fuck my kids, fuck everything that's moving. If I run into this dude, you know what I
Mm,
mean. You got to realize that by the time I come home, I'm 40. Mob James probably 48, 49. You know what I mean. Me as myself, trying to go to work, trying to provide for my family, trying to get a job, trying to do all these things. I'm not in the mob looking for this dude. I'm trying to make sure my kids can eat at this moment. You know what I mean? So by the time you get up and running for where you could even get your foot on the ground to even try to go look for somebody, you got to realize I don't live in the hood. Mob James don't live in the hood. So when dudes pop up in their hood, they pop up for a day or two and they gone. Gonna live in their lives. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like I said, I have never seen Mob James, but I will reiterate that the first 2 years, had I did, I'd have put it on the line, instantly. As time went on, and you get to live in life, and your kids get to look in you in your eyes and say, "Hey, Daddy, you home? I can go to college now, right? I can play club volleyball now, right? We can start back going to, dirt bike riding, right? You gotta look in your kids and you gotta make a decision. Is the rest of my life based on going to look for somebody, or is the rest of my life based on trying to make up from what I lost with my family? You know what I mean? And in between the two, you know what I mean? It make it to where, like I said, I never saw the dude. So by the time I get off 5 years paper, my perspective has changed. You know, I came home at 40. By the time I get off at that paper, I'm 45 years old. You got to start thinking about in your life what's best for the rest of your life. Now, I heard some guys and some say, I heard this one guy say that I wanted to bring up. He said, man, you know, dude was snitched on me. I would have came home and handled my business, and I would have went to did my time. You know what I mean? I would have been content with doing my time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hold on, man. Think about this. You did 8 years, 8 months with this dude for the first place, you know, ratted on you. And then you're going to come home and say, I'm going to give him 15, 20 more years for going to, you know, do something. You know what I mean? So you basically saying his life is more important than your life. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, after I come to my senses, because like I said, the first couple of years when I've been home, had I seen him is on point. And I'm sure he might have felt the same way. I'm not taking nothing from Mob Jane. You know, just because a dude rat don't mean they ain't a gangster. You know what I mean? So he could have felt the same way about me. If I see F, we gonna get cracking. But you have to take into consideration that I was never a dummy. You know what I mean? You know, and like I say, when your kids look in your eyes and say, Daddy, I'm gonna be able to go to college now, right? Since you home, Daddy, I'm gonna be able to do this. You got to make a decision. So do I choose, you know, Mob James, or do I choose trying to be a father, trying to be a man, trying to handle my responsibilities in life? You know what I mean? And those sort of things.
Mm-hmm. I heard Buntry, James's brother, had a lot of respect and love for you. Can you talk about your relationship with Buntry?
Oh man, me and Buntry was tight, man. A lot of those pictures that they posting, Buntry's with me on most of those pictures. Picture in the red suit, picture with the black brim on. You know, me and Buntry had a good relationship. You know what I mean? You know, I mean, I could tell you a bunch of stories about me and Buntry, me and Buntry, me and Buntry. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But we was cool. You know what I mean? I respected the big homie, and he loved and respected me.
Can you give us one Buntry story?
Oh man, I got 100 Buntry stories. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
a funny one, a good one.
I
Yeah.
well, you know, this is the thing about it, man. You know, Buntry was a serious dude. You know, I could get him to laugh. I mean, other people probably could too. You know what I mean? But I was a champion of Buntry. Like certain homies was gone at this time. Like I say, Heron was gone, and certain homies might have been in jail. So Buntry was there to be the big homie at the time. You know, on the east side. You know, amongst others though. Wasn't just him. It was other homies that, you know, Buntry just was in the limelight because of the death row thing. You know what I mean? But I know Buntry gave me the keys to his house one day. You know what I mean? And I'm coming from a party, and I called him. I'm like, Buntry, I got like 14 females with me, homie. What's happening? He like, man, the homies over here. I say, man, you know, they don't know how to do no macking, man. Come on, man. You know what I mean? But you say, look, I'm finna put everybody out. Give me 20 minutes. I'm gonna put everybody out like I'm gonna go to sleep. Then you come through. You know what I mean? And it was stories like that I look at my watch, be like, boom, you know, 20 minutes then pass. I get over Bunch House, ain't nobody left. He still got the homies over there. You know what I mean? I mean, like I said, I got a bunch of Buntry stories. I can't tell them all. I'm gonna be honest with you, AG. I can't tell them all, but I got a bunch. You know, that was the homie. You know, but I got a bunch of stories with everybody over there. I was around there forever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me? Do you remember your last conversation with Buntry?
Yeah, I remember my last conversation with him. You know what I mean? And it was the heat going on in Compton. Shit was cracking. You know what I mean? And me and Buntry had the same kind of truck at the time. You know, he had a black Denali. I had a black Denali. He had the stretch one. I had the short one. You know, and while I'm hearing, you know, the shit get the cracking. You know what I mean? So I slide up over his house and shit and chop it up with him. And my last conversation with him was big homie. You know, I mean, I know you super OG. You know what I mean? But be careful out here. You know what I mean? You know, and Buntry told me, man, he said, FG, I ain't scared of none of these, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. You know what I mean? And when the shit happened with Buntry, it happened to happen in my neighborhood, you know, at the gas station. And since we had the same kind of truck, I got a bunch of calls because people thought it was me. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And you know, that I mean, it broke my heart. You know what I mean? You know, I hated to see any of the homies, you know, get knocked down, but you know, that's what it was, you know. But I remember I'll tell you, man, be careful. Cause let me tell you one thing that Buntry used to tell me. I never forget what Buntry, cause I was a Crenshaw dude. We used to go low ride on Crenshaw. You know, I used to be out on the west side, you know, Sunset, you know, a Boulevard, Hollywood. You know, I was one of them type of dudes. So I never forget we was out one time and I had to get some gas. And Buntry told me, he said, listen, man, L, he said, L, always get your gas before you leave the neighborhood. Don't ever have to go to LA. Don't ever have to stop at these gas stations. Don't ever have to stop and fuck with these. Get your gas before you leave the hood. And he kind of like, he said it cool, but he really kind of was checking me like, dude, don't ever stop at these gas stations out here in LA. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's something I never forgot. I always give my gas. Ever since Buntry told me that, I always give my gas before I leave to go anywhere. So I never had to stop at a gas station, you know, somewhere else. And Buntry was getting gas before he left the neighborhood to go wherever he was going that day. He stopped in the neighborhood and got his gas, man, and he stayed true to his word. You know, get your gas before you leave the neighborhood. You know what I mean? And they just happened to get him in the neighborhood. You know.
I don't know how deep I could get into this, but what do you think of the supposed reason that they did that to him? Because there was a talks of a videotape and he was watching it. Do you believe that, or?
I mean, I don't get that deep into it. You know what I
Okay.
mean? You know, I get to that was a homie. You know, I don't get into, you know, how it happened. I get or why it happened. I just know we lost a soldier on the east side. You know.
I understand. Mob James said when all this happened in 2000, his brother Buntry was alive and Heron was alive, but Heron was killed in 97. What do you
Right.
think of him saying that? Saying that, and what was your reaction when you learned Heron was killed in 97?
Well, I know when Heron was killed. I was at the park with Heron right before he got killed. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I said, I'm FG, man. You know what I mean? Nice to meet you, man. You know what I mean? But these are my personal homies. You know what I mean? So, you know, I was at the park with Heron 30 minutes before he got killed, you know. But when he said that, I didn't take it because I've said stuff in my interviews and people say, well, you know, you did this or you did that. You said this or you said that. When we talking to some of these interviews, which you already know I'm new to, the interview thing, you can misspeak. You know
Right.
what I mean? So when he said Heron, I didn't take it. I didn't say nothing, you know, because he talking and you know he could have just, you know, got off track a little bit. So I didn't think none of that. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, you know.
Yeah. Um, what do you think, James? Other than the obviously he was paid by the FBI. What do you think James did that to you? Do you think he really needed the money that bad? I mean, I don't know. Do you think this was his profession on the side? I don't know.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't. I mean, if you needed the money that bad, like you hear me talk about the things I did around the neighborhood to try to help. We tried to help each other out at all times. If anybody was down on their luck, we was gonna try to put a plan together to make some money. You know what I mean? You know, James wasn't no different. If he needed some help that bad, he could have came and say, hey, FG, I'm fucked up. Can you figure out a way to help me make, you know, some change? I mean, just be honest with you. You know, a person come at you like that, you know what I mean? You know, hell yeah, we can figure something out. You know what I mean? But I think it's bigger than that, more than that. It gotta be. You know, it can't be that. You know what I mean? It can't just be you needed some money, man. It just in my heart, I can't believe that. You was paid, but I can't believe that was the main focus and the reason why you did it.
Mhm. Do you know if he's done this before, like in other cases?
I know he did it after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know he did it after for sure. My attorney was able to secure a document that stated how much he was paid for events after mine, and so I know for sure that he was paid for other events. Don't know what the events were. Don't know if he was doing some charitable events. I mean, but he was paid by the FBI for numerous other events. I just don't know what they were.
Mhm. Were you tight ever with his brother Timmy Ru?
Yeah. Me and Timmy Ru used to low ride together. You know what I mean? Me and T Ru was real tight. You know, T Ru was solid, man. T Ru was a gangster. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. See, people talk about the Buntrys and they talk about the Mob James. I'm gonna just be honest with you, T Ru. I feel, you know, Buntry had the name. Mob James was the big brother. Timmy. I think Timmy, you know, more gangster than, you know. I don't know. You got to realize Mob James a lot older than me.
Right.
So whatever he did when I was 11, I can't speak. Maybe he did do some hell of a shit when I was 12 or 13. But when I was coming up, I can't, man, Timmy was a rider, man. Well, we used to low ride together, fuck around together. Me and Timmy used to fuck around heavy. You know what I mean? But he was really the one. To be honest with you, he was the baby brother. So he had to go hard. You know what I mean?
How when you found out James was an informant, did that ruin your relationship with Timmy Ru at all?
I believe it did, because I haven't spoke to Timmy since. You know what I mean? And and I haven't spoke to Timmy since. You know what I mean? I don't think like it's no bad blood. You know what I mean? But just to be honest with you, if my brother told on somebody, what do I have to say to this guy? You know what I mean? I mean, kind of what do I have to say to this guy? But we also haven't ran into each other either. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what Timmy thoughts is. I can't speak for him. But it definitely diminished the relationship.
If you did run into Timmy, you think you'd have a conversation, or you'd be like, "Hey, let's go our separate ways"?
No, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, see, real gonna recognize real. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna do no faking. Timmy ain't gonna do no faking. That ain't never been a part of his program. And like I said, I can't speak for him. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I mean, I can see him saying, damn, FG, that's my brother. You know what I mean? And I believe that most people in America, shit, in any nation, gonna ride with their family, gonna ride with their family. You know what I mean? Just to be honest with you. So it's nothing personal that I think with that. It's just the reality of is, that's his family. You know what I mean?
Right. Mob James mentioned Lip Dog and Trayvon multiple times, but these guys are not. These guys are not in your paperwork from your case. What do you think James keeps? Why do you think James keeps mentioning that? Like he said, Lip Dog was mad at him. He said he's seen Lip Dog and Trayvon several times. They didn't say nothing to him.
I believe Trey spoke to him for a minute about it. Trey said something to a certain degree. You know what I mean? What he said and how he said it, I don't know, but I know for sure Trey spoke with him about it. You know what I mean? I don't know about him and his interaction with Lip Dog, but at the end of the day, I'm not gonna sit here and say Mob James lying about everything he say. You know what I mean? Mob James said he go through his neighborhood, niggas be like, "What's up, big homie? What's up, OG? What's up?" I mean, I can't sit here and say he lying about that. You know what I mean? And I don't know what if he seen Lip Dog, what they interaction was,
Right.
But I did know Trey spoke to him about it, but I don't know how that worked out. You know what I mean?
I heard in your interview with Street TV that you said that you should have that you feel like you should have took it to trial. Why is that?
Well, I said that in a way to meaning that maybe he wouldn't have showed up. Maybe he would have denied showing up, and that could have helped my case. You get what I'm saying? So, like I said, that was my first interview with Street TV. I didn't know people actually went in there and picked and choose and dissected and really read the paperwork. That was my first interview. It's like, because you'd heard a guy say, "Well, listen, man, you say you got out on the left side of the truck at 11:12, but the paperwork said 11:15." I mean, they was technical about every little thing. You know what I mean? And I was just telling my story. You know what I mean? So had I knew they were so technical about every single thing, maybe I would have tightened it up a little bit. But I mean, this was a long time ago, AG. You ain't gonna remember every single. You remember the facts, but you ain't gonna remember every single what kind of shoes you had on, when this incident happened and shit like that. You know what I mean?
I might get a little technical here, but let me ask you this: let's say you did take it to trial. Don't they subpoena him to testify? Like, how does that work? Like, is it on him? Is it on the FBI? Like, how does that whole thing work?
Oh no, they would have pressed him. After you wear a wire and do all this stuff for the work, you ain't just finna say I ain't finna do something. Shit, they gonna hammer your ass. They gonna be your ass gonna be. You know what I mean? And he would have been there. Now the thing about it, what I can say is this though, which I have heard from homies who had the accuser come testify against him. The feds will close that whole courtroom down, kick everybody out that motherfucker, and then just have the guy. So won't nobody else see. You know what I mean? It's not like the state where, you know, you got your whole family, cousins, friends, your homeboys in court. The feds will kick all you motherfuckers out of court and let the informant come in and do his thing. You know what I mean? So the public won't see it per se. And it's back again, still your word against theirs. But the only thing about that, it will be in the trial transcripts. You know what I mean? So he wouldn't have been able to get around that, the trial transcripts part. You know what I mean?
Okay, I see. So, but if he would have took the stand, obviously, it would have been.
Oh, no doubt. His name would have been right there, said everything he said. You know, you can't escape those. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you go to trial, AG, and the feds say if they offer you 10, you turn it down and go to trial. Oh, you coming out 17, 18, 19 years. You know what I mean? They're gonna, you know, it costs $500,000 in most of these cases to go to trial in the feds. You know what I mean? So you're gonna pay for wasting their money when you knew you was guilty in the first place. That's how the feds treat it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. You gonna pay, bro.
Yeah, I understand. Let me ask you this: did you listen to James' response on Bomb First? And if so, what do you think?
I don't want to say what I thought, but I listened to it, and everybody else listened to it. You listened to it, and I don't really even have to speak on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, you're intelligent, dude. You know what you saw. You know what I mean? And we all saw the same thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, I ain't gonna even speak on that. You know.
Yeah, I get you. I feel you. But is it true that Reggie invited you on and you declined?
Yeah, because this is the thing about it. You know, I mean, I don't have nothing against Reggie. So Reggie invited me on. You know, me and Reggie not enemies or anything like that. You know what I mean? So Reggie was doing more narrating than anything, you know. So I don't have to basically say explain like debate with Reggie in any kind of fashion, you know, because this is not between me and Reggie. I do understand Mob James and Reggie are really good friends, and they've been friends like for many decades. You know what I mean? So it's nothing personal with Reggie because I know this is your friend. You know what I mean? So the things that Reggie do for him is it's not taken personal, just based on, you know, he's trying to help a buddy. You know what I mean? And if that's what he chooses to do, then, you know, I understand. I get it. You know.
Right. Reggie posted a photo of Mob James when he was heavier, wearing a red shirt, wearing a red shirt. But that photo was clearly not from 2000,
Right.
and it was compared to the FBI surveillance photo. How do you feel about that?
I don't. You know what I mean? I feel the same way. The people that know what's going on. See, Compton laughing about it. You know what I mean? Because you could post a picture of him when he was 7 years old against a picture of him from the surveillance photo. If you know Mob, you know him. You know what I mean? And that's just clear, you know. And I had, you know, guys come in the comments, you know, well, he never wore earrings, so that's not him. And
Right.
you know, I hear a lot of stuff that you know, to be honest with you, I understand that he have supporters. You know, there's Mob James supporters out there. I don't have a problem with them. The problem I have is, you know, you trying to defend me when the comments that you're making, you know, don't add up. You know what I mean? And how you know what Mob James looked like if you never knew him back in 2000? You know, I know been knowing this dude since I was a kid. Since I was old enough to come across Atlantic and go over to the mob, I've been knowing the Mob James. You know what I mean? So, like I say, some of them pictures that they post in the Mob James is at an FG party. You know, some of the
Okay.
pictures with the brims on, some of the pictures with him and Buntry where he had the red suit on and with the red brim, and some of these pictures are from my parties. You know what I mean? So people don't even understand that part. I don't. Oh, see, I almost feel like I'm on trial for being
Okay.
you know what I mean, aggressive as I am about saying what I'm saying. You know,
Right.
but you know, I don't really take that into consideration what they saying about that aspect of what you just asked me.
Right. What's your reaction when they say on Bomb First they called you a hustler as opposed to being a gangster? What's your reaction to that?
I got a lot of texts about this. Funny, man. You pretty good, AG. You thorough. You pay
I,
attention, huh?
I'm
I got a lot of texts on that. I got a lot of reaction from that. You
Mhm.
know, and I mean, I didn't mind it. I didn't take it personal per se. You to
Mhm.
be honest with you, I didn't take it personal. Reggie know me how Reggie know me. You know, Reggie know me through. You know, me and Reggie done had plenty of interactions, and Me and Reggie done had interaction where he don't even remember that was me. You know, back when he was a cop. You know what I mean? But so Reggie don't, Reggie know what the people tell him. You know what I mean, or what he believed to be true. But I didn't have no problem with that at all. You know what I mean? None at all. The streets know. You know what I mean? Plus, not to mention, AG. At this age of my life, I'm not trying to be a gangster. I'm a husband and a father and a shit. Edison don't stop. I got to pay these bills. So that it didn't bother me at all, to be honest with you. But I did get some calls and texts on that with some laughs behind it.
Reggie said you attended Mob James's mother's funeral in December of 2018. Did you see Mob James there?
Did I see Mob James there? I wasn't there, AG. Reggie misspoke. He might have either thought I was there or somebody might have said that I was there, but the information wherever he got, he just misspoke. That's all. I wasn't there though.
Reggie said that he knows you through Bob Gotti from Cross Atlantic Peru, and that you was a good guy. Reggie said that you waited 20 years to put out the paperwork and to put the paperwork out, and that you should have put the paperwork out immediately. What do you think of that, and why did you wait so long?
Well, you asked me about 5 questions, but I'm gonna answer them all. Yeah. Bob Gotti is from the mob, actually. Bob Gotti is from the mob. Bob Gotti and Reggie Wright was tight. When Reggie took over Death Row as interim CO, him and Bob was, they was thick as thieves. Bob was his right-hand man at the time, But me and Bob Gotti got a personal relationship, or we had a personal relationship back in the day that, hey, we was tight. You know what I mean? So Bob was a homie, back then. And like I said, we was tight. The next response to that was, you asked me so many questions. Can you repeat?
Yeah, I'll go back. Don't worry about it. So basically, how come you didn't put out the paperwork immediately?
Oh, no, the paperwork was put out immediately. It was put out immediately. But like I say, the surveillance photos wasn't with them at the time because the paperwork that I put out didn't have the surveillance photos with them. So when I sent it to the hood and the hood addressed it, he was able to say that wasn't him. You know what I mean?
Do you know if Mob James goes back to Compton, and can he move freely? Do you know that?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna tell you about Compton right now. You have to understand that the most of us that grew up in Compton back in the day, we don't live there no more. You know what I mean? And the younger generation might not even know that much of Mob James. So when he come through their neighborhood, he not a factor to them. They not looking for him, or they don't care who he is. He an old man, to the youngsters. You know what I mean? So then let me clear something up. I can go to almost any hood in LA on a certain day, be there for an hour or two, and don't run into not one person from that neighborhood. I could be on that street. Somebody just might not come down that street. You know what I mean? So we all slide through Compton and hang out. You know what I mean? And you cannot run into somebody else just based on, if I go to Compton on Thursday and he go to Compton on Friday, we'll never see each other. I mean, you know what I mean? Because we don't live there. We go and hang out there, drink and chill and talk shit with the homies, and then we leave. We go back to work and stuff like that. So it's super easy for anybody to go to a neighborhood and not run into an enemy or a friend or stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's easy to do, AG, to be honest with you. He could be in Compton, you know what I mean? But I could too. He got his neighborhood, I got mine though. You know what I mean? When I go to Compton, I don't go to the mob. You know what I mean? I go to hang out with my homies and shit like that. So it's easy for somebody to miss somebody. It's easy.
Do you think a person like James could go back to Compton knowing that he has paperwork on him?
Well, in today's society, yeah, because you got to realize that everybody don't want to put their life on the line for something that don't have nothing to do with them. That's just the reality of life. People got their own problems, their own ordeals, their own kids to raise, their own families to feed. And people ideology today is he didn't snitch on me. So, you know what I mean?
Right. If you saw Mob James today, would you say anything to him?
I mean, I can't say that. I don't want to answer that because that's like You know, it's almost like you threatening somebody if you answer it. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
You know, and everything in life. You know, I was even I'm not even talking about the Mob James situation, but everything in life, um, um, everything in life depends on circumstances. You know what I mean? So just let me give you an example. My daughter played club volleyball on a high level. You know what I mean? We trying to get her a scholarship. You know, we had a volleyball tournament, and I run into Mob James. Do I disrespect my whole daughter's volleyball tournament and everything she got going in order to try to get in college and to be better than her dad? Like I'm teaching her to just smash this dude because at this time I'm not going. It ain't gonna be no shooting, and you know what I mean. You going to jail for the rest of your life. So to beat this dude up per se at my daughter's volleyball tournament, I mean that don't make sense. AG to get my daughter kicked off the volleyball team, get her scholarship ripped, get so you have to take circumstances into consideration. You know what I mean? So, and it's the same way I'm sure everybody feel about a lot of shit in life. You know what I mean? So I can't sit here and say if I ran into him at my daughter volleyball game because he was there at his niece volleyball game. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might pull a push up on him and have a light conversation with him. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't be no physical altercations just based on we both gonna lose. You know what I mean? We really both gonna lose. Ain't nobody gonna win from this. Nobody's gonna benefit from not our kids, not our none of that. You know what I mean? So I'm at a point in my life where I'll be I'm too old to fuck mine off. For a motherfucker that's. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm too old to fuck mine off for a motherfucker that didn't keep it solid. Just to be 100, you didn't keep it solid, homie. You don't even earn my respect for me to fuck mines off. In certain situations, because you didn't keep yours solid. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Let me ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll be over with. I'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, said, ask him if Mob James paged him before he went to Drew house. How come the paperwork says James paged about drugs?
The page came from maybe they didn't read the paperwork or maybe they skimmed through it and just changed it up. The page came a week or two, a month later. You know what I mean? The page was actually later on to say that the drugs wasn't as good as he wanted them to be, but coming to find out, that was just basically locking me into the conspiracy. You know what I mean? So when he paged me and I called back and it was him, yeah, man, them drugs I got from you because you didn't actually get them from me per se. You didn't get the crack from me. So you have to lock me into that conspiracy, and that's what the phone call did. It was a monitored phone call, the FBI listening. So when I stated that, man, hey, I'm always getting different kind of stuff, blah, 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 really trying to just get you off the phone because we did, the transaction was done, it's nothing for, just talking. And, but that actually, locks you all the way into the conspiracy that you knew what was going on, and was part of that conspiracy. That's all that was. But that was after the transaction. It wasn't before.
I have another question. It says, so the undercover told FG he let him in the club half of the time he went up there with James, and FG didn't realize that what was going on. Still wasn't sure if it was Rat James. That's weird.
Well, it wasn't half of the times. They took the maybe because I talk a little fast or something. They came one time and I let them in half price. Is what happened. You know what I mean? When James came with the feds that one time, I let him in free and I let them in for half price. It wasn't half of the time. They never came. They only came one time. You know what I mean? So maybe somewhere and they listened and they kind of got it mixed up. They thought I said half of the time when no, I let them in half price that one time that they did came.
Okay, I understand. Where are the your co-defendants now? Like Drew
Drew out there. I talked to Drew not too long ago. Drew around. Drew living
and
his
how
life.
and how does he feel about all this?
I mean, Drew feel the same way I feel. Drew had to do 10 years off this shit. You know what I mean? I mean, I can't speak for Drew, but I mean, I know him enough to say that he felt the same way I felt. He left his family, he left his kids, he left, the life that he was living in order to go do jail time for a friend of his, So I'm sure Drew felt shit pissed, just like everybody else did.
Hmm. What is your any last words for the people watching, and wonder and still have questions about all this?
No, I don't. Actually, I don't have no questions for him. You know what I mean? At this point, if you watched the interviews, if you looked at the paperwork, if you saw what you saw, you know what's really going on. If even in your heart you still want to be a Mob James supporter or you want to, back him, I'm fine with that as well. You know what I mean? But the truth, the truth is told. The truth is what it is. I don't think people think I'm lying at all. They gonna believe what they want to believe. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I mean, no man in his, I guess somebody would, but I wouldn't, with the integrity that I have for myself, would never get up here and accuse somebody of something that wasn't true.
Mhm.
And that's
Last,
really what it is, AG.
would you pursue a podcast?
I mean, I don't know everything about the podcast work. I'm new to these
Right.
interviews, but at the same time, I would like to, not about Mob James, but I would like to, you know what I mean, try to help people with the wisdom of, what I'm talking about and the education that I have about the streets and about, real life in itself. I wouldn't mind speaking to people about that. You know what I mean? About the consequences that comes with the decisions that you make. I would love to talk to people about that, but a podcast, that's something I would have to think about. You know what I mean?
Right. There it is. Thank you, FG, for your time.
All right, AJ.
Appreciate you.